Need to improve your club on Ultimate Team? Check out IGDM for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Get an extra 5% discount with code NA. What's good, y'all? Today we're going to be going over the 4-3-1-2. And the 4-3-1-2 is really similar to the 4-1-2-1-2. But I want to try something new for once. I wanted to do a formation that I've never done on this channel. And I also like, being able to make really good custom tactics on formations that aren't really popular to begin with because, the meta does get boring, playing the same formations over and over again, especially at this stage of the game where, gameplay is getting repetitive. We might as well switch things up, give people a unique experience that way. Hopefully, we can create meta custom tactics while also being able to make the game more fun again, if that makes sense. And like I said, the 4-3-1-2 is basically just the 4-1-2-1-2. It will operate a little bit differently, but the idea is still there. It's still going to play really similar for the most part. Generally speaking, I try to stay away from those type of formations because it's pretty hard to adapt due to the lack of traditional wingers. But with these custom tactics, we were able to solve that issue when it comes to width. We had some solutions for that, and generally we've made some really fun custom tactics here. And before we go into the custom tactics, we might as well discuss our team real quick. And starting with our defenders, this is the Saeed card. I'm pretty sure everyone's packed him at this point off this promo. It's a really good card. His only real issue is probably his height, which I know 6'1" doesn't seem short, but at this stage of the game where everyone has cards like Bisek and whatever that are like 6'3" and above, it does definitely feel like a liability at times. But other than that, this is still a really good card. And then you have Bisek right here, for instance. And I know he doesn't have, for example, he doesn't have slide, he doesn't have anticipate, but this is still one of the best cards I've gotten to play with, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's something to do with his lengthiness, I'm not sure if it's his height, but his tackles are still going to be really good. His animations are perfect, and he's really fast. And on top of that, he's really good on corners as well. There's a reason why this card's really expensive, to be honest. He's worth every single penny. I got him untradeable from Rivals Rewards, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try him, I'll see how these meta center backs go, and this guy's just really good. But other than that, there's Tyler Adams right here, who I found to be a really good right back, especially for this custom tactic. He has intercepts plus as well as having bruiser, which are really good to have on your fullbacks. They make it so it's really hard to, really get past if you're playing against someone that's trying to, pace abuse style in the wing. But yeah, other than that, let's just go straight to the custom tactics before I forget, to be honest. We're going to have it set to our defensive with 46 width, 65 depth. And I know I've talked about it already in my previous videos, but just to recap once more, we're not doing 100 depth. To be quite frank, 100 depth is very overrated. I've gotten plenty of gameplay in with it. It is not good in terms of longevity. And what I mean by that is if you're playing against someone that knows how to play the game effectively, 100 depth is not going to cut it. Let's take, for example, 71 depth. If you guys were here from 2023 when I was doing custom tactics, I stopped doing 71 depth primarily because not only were you guys not comfortable using 71 depth consistently, but in terms of longevity, it was just not that good. You had situations where your players were out of position. There's situations where your opponents got free goals, and we don't want that. We want custom tactics that are consistent, and especially in defense. And using anything above 71 is just going to enable a stronger press and things like that. But at the same time, there's going to be a downfall to that, which is, players being out of position and stuff. So we're going to be using 65 for that reason. I'm not an advocate for 100 depth because even though it might be good for a lot of opponents, especially lesser skilled opponents, again, I'm a person that plays to 20 wins. I realize, once we're going above 12, 13 wins, you're going to be playing against good opponents, and 100 depth is not going to cut it there. So I'm not going to use it for that reason. And with that being my reason, I'm not going to, get used to 100 depth for the, the first 11 wins players. So 65 is a perfect amount for me. Build up play balance, chance creation, direct passing. Now, I wish I could use possession on this, but due to the lack of traditional wingers, we're going to be relying a lot on our strikers to really be on the ball and progress the ball forward. And I'll explain further when we get to the player instructions, but we're going to be needing a lot of AI runs and things like that for this formation to work out well. And direct passing is what enables that effectively. I'll clarify later, but for right now, we're just going to have it on direct passing. 60 width, again, this will make more sense when we talk about player instructions when we get there. 60 width, we need to enable actual tactical width across the board when we're using this custom tactic, since like I said, there's no traditional wingers. And again, when we go to the player instructions, this will make sense. But for now, as I said, 60 width. 6 players in the box like always, 3 corners, 2 free kicks, but that's self-explanatory. And then going straight to play instructions, you're going to start with your 2 strikers up front. Both of them are going to be exactly on drift, wide, get in behind. Now, this is something I've never done, having 2 strikers on drift, wide, get in behind, but I figured I'd experiment with it, and I found that these custom tactics were perfect for that, especially because there's a cam in behind. And basically what this would look like is, think of, Real Madrid that have Vinicius and Rodrigo up front, and then you have that cam which could effectively be Bellingham. Now, if you don't know where I'm going with this, these strikers are not literally strikers, because in the build-up phase, they're going to act almost as half wingers or literal wingers, where they get in between the other team's center back and fullback, like a traditional winger, of course. And then they'll be making these runs where they're going to be on the center back side, that way the fullback isn't contesting them. So if you can get the through ball to them, they're going to be on a goal scoring opportunity, really guaranteed, basically. But with that being said, in the build-up phase, once these players, drift out wide, this cam right here, which we'll talk about his player instructions in a moment, he's going to actually, go into that striker position, if that makes sense. So your cam's going to be scoring a lot of goals while your wingers are going to be, or not your wingers, sorry, your strikers, but they're going to act as wingers. They're going to be enabling your cam to have a lot of space in the box, especially when they're dragging the other team's center backs out of position when they're making those runs. That's why it was really important to have 60 width, because I had to tinker with the width a little bit. And 60 width is really important because when these players go wide, we want them to not go so wide to the point where the other team's fullbacks are marking them. Rather, we want them to go wide where it's the other team's center backs contesting them, and the other team's center backs will, follow the strikers out of position. And then when that's occurring, that cam will just run right through the middle, and you're going to have a really good goal scoring opportunity if you can see it. As far as player stats, I do recommend having one big guy like Holland, and then one, moderate player. It can be anyone, to be honest, but really you just want someone that's big on one side for just in case you want to get a cross in or things like that, or if you can play like, that meta thing where someone sends a lob ball into the box and then you can lay it off with an aerial plus player to the other striker, which is really meta, to be fair. A lot of the pros do that, and I was doing that as well, as ratty as it is. But generally speaking, for both players, it's really, really, really important you get someone as fast as possible. Quick step plus, rapid plus are really essential here. But other than that, we're going to go straight to the cam, stay forward, and that's completely it. I know what I mentioned with the players up front, that this player is going to be acting like a striker, like a Bellingham type player right here. You might be wondering, why don't we just put this player on, get into the box or cross? We don't want to do that because we want to trust the cam AI, which, like I said in other videos as well, the cam AI, the cam position in itself is a really good position in terms of AI responsiveness. So it's one of those positions in the game where you do not need to put custom tactics or player instructions on them for them to be effective. So we're going to leave them on completely default, besides the stay forward part. We want to trust the cam AI in itself to know when to run into the box and when to not run into the box. So that way there's like chemistry between the cam and the 2 strikers here. But other than that, you're going to want to play here that most definitely has finesse shot plus, because that is free goals nowadays. You're going to need a player that is really reliable in terms of finishing at the edge of the box, as well as like, not just inside the box, but like in the positions where it's almost a long shot, if that makes sense. So finesse shot plus is really useful. There's going to be a lot of positions where he's going to have a lot of space right at the edge of the box, if not a little bit shorter to that. So a player with finesse shot plus can score really consistently from that position, especially if you can use green time finishing. But other than that, that's all you really need at this position. Anything else is self-preference. But like I said, finesse shot plus is really, really essential here. We're going to jump straight to our CDM, or our anchor player right here, who's going to be on stay back while attacking, stay on the edge of the box for cross and cover center. You're going to want a playmaker right here, because this player is going to have the ball at his feet more often than not than you see in other positions. Think of, for example, the 4-3-2-1 that has the that one midfielder in the middle. That, obviously in the 4-3-2-1, that player's going to have the ball a lot at their feet, so you're going to want someone that's not clunky. You want a playmaker. Enzo Fernandez is perfect for that. But if you can get someone with long shot pass, incisive, even Travella, that way you can hit balls with really good angles. Pause. But other than that, like I said, you're still going to want, obviously, CDM type stats, really good defending, but it's also really important that you have a good playmaker here. And then going to our right midfielder, it's going to be weird that we have Salah, but as I speak about it, it'll make more sense. Balance attack and cover center. Now, for you guys, I would recommend you get a really good attacking center mid right here with good defensive stats. I don't have many good center mids in my team that are good attacking, so I had to put Salah here. But if you guys have a play, like Enzo Fernandez would be really good here as well. But you just want a player like Eze, Fernandez, those type of players to play this position right here, because this is going to be the actual box-to-box, as in they're going to be bombing the box really frequently. So you're going to want someone that's obviously reliable in other team's box. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty self-explanatory. And then you can have your other center mid right here who's going to be on sit back while attacking. But this time he's going to be on bounce crossing runs compared to Enzo. And technically speaking, this player is still going to be a box-to-box. I don't know how... I couldn't really explain to you how this player is any different to the one that's right next to him. I think it's just something to do with the custom tactic in itself. Because despite this player still being on stay back while attacking, he's still going to attack sometimes. This one's also going to be a box-to-box effectively, except he's just not going to be bombing in the box, if that makes sense. I couldn't really explain it to you. These custom, like, FC24 custom tactics don't make sense for the most part. And I'm talking about specifically the difference between this player and this player. You would think that they're both the same center mid. However, even with stay on the edge of the box for cross, and this one being on balanced crossing runs, and then this one being on balanced attack, this player right here is still going to be entering the box sometimes. Well, not entering, more like being on right on the edge of it, if that makes sense. Even though, like I said, they're on stay back while attacking. It's also really important that that's why we have 6 players at the edge, or 6 players entering the box, because it causes like a little conflict where the AI is kind of confused on whether this player should be entering the box or not. But like I said, stay back while attacking kind of contradicts that. What I'm trying to say is that it's kind of like a glitch position right here, but it's still going to be really good, obviously. You have your 2 fullbacks on stay back while attacking overlap, surprisingly. I know it's really tempting to have balanced attack on one of these players, but the issue with these custom tactics or this formation to begin with is that since they lack wingers, these fullbacks are always going to have a lot of space if you do choose to have balanced attack. So what this means is if you choose to put balanced attack on these players, they're just going to bomb the box like crazy. And we don't need width like that when we already have your strikers on drift wide. Additionally, they're still going to step up a little bit, even though, like I said, there is no step up custom tactic right here. We're not using that, but they're still going to step up to join the midfielders a little bit. So you're still going to have situations where these fullbacks are able to send through balls to the striker, especially if you dribble a little bit forward with them. So these positions are still going to be really important in terms of playmaking, things like that, and advancing the ball forward. So you don't need them to bomb the box. But yeah, other than that, you have your keeper. I'd stopped giving a fuck about these play instructions, to be honest, on the keeper. But yeah, that's all. Now, I know people tend to ask about D-pad custom tactics, or, you know, the thing that you can do in-game to enable offside trap, those things like that. There is something that I was experimenting with these custom tactics, and what you can do is, like I said, with the lack of attacking fullbacks, if you are desperate, you can enable attacking fullbacks, but like I said, it's going to bomb them forward like crazy because there's no actual wingers. But if you're desperate and you need to, you can do that. I would definitely recommend it if, you know, it's like the last 10-20 minutes of the game and you need to go bad, because you're going to have a lot of players go forward. And it's also going to be really useful if you enable that with team press, or if you're using constant pressure as a like a late game comeback custom tactic, because it's just going to throw a lot more players going forward. And like I said, it's doing that because since there's no actual wingers, your fullback AI is going to be like, okay, we have a lot of space in front of us, we're going to go use that space because that's our space now. Yeah, these custom tactics are a lot of fun, to be honest. They're a lot more different than any custom tactic I've used. That's, like I said, primarily because of the 2-striker format of the cam in behind, as well as the fact that there's no wingers. So if you're looking for custom tactics because you're just bored of the way the current game is, trying to play something new for once, you're just kind of bored of really just a game to begin with, like I was, to be honest, then I'd highly recommend these custom tactics. But on the other hand, if you just need meta custom tactics, something that's just really OP, you just want to be a rat for the sake of it, you just need to win, I will be dropping a 4-2-2 after this, and it's going to be revisiting, you know, my previous meta 4-2-2s. I'd figure I might as well do those custom tactics if I'm going to release these, to be honest. So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, if you haven't already, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And that's all.